Zig talks about a story about a man who owned some land in Texas. And he was approached by one of the great oil companies back around 1900. And one of the oil companies said, look, we think there's oil underneath your land. We think within your land is oil. And we'd like the opportunity to drill for that oil, bring it to the surface, and we're going to give you a couple dollars for every barrel that comes out of there. All you have to do is give us permission to drill for the oil. He had nothing to lose. Drill for the oil, they find it, he makes money. They don't find it, didn't cost him anything, he didn't put up any money. They drilled for the oil, and in a few weeks, maybe it was a couple of months, they hit a well called Spindletop. Spindletop is the most famous well in the history of oil drilling. They were getting, at the time, now remember, this is in the 1900s. They don't have any sophisticated anything to get oil out of the ground. This is just oil. They drilled for it, it shot out, they capped it, they started pumping it into barrels and sending it off. They were getting 100,000 barrels a day. Wow. 100,000, this is in the 1900s, 100,000 barrels a day. And this went on for around 40 or 50 days before it backed off into the 80,000 barrels a day. Biggest strike ever. When the strike came, the oil came in, the man who owned the land was a multi-millionaire. Immediately. And that's back in the 1900s when $1 million was $1 million. Today, $1 million isn't so big. But back then, I'll bet you today, in today's dollars, it was probably $100 million. Think about what $100 million could buy in the 1900s. Think about what $100 million can buy today. Think about that. It's amazing. So, the question is, when the oil came in, the man became rich. So here was the question Zig posed. Wasn't the man rich before the oil was discovered and brought to the surface? Was he or wasn't he?
Yes.
It was there. It was there all the time. All that they needed to do was bring it to the surface. Well, okay, so it took some time, it took some capital, it took some energy, it took some drilling, it took some work to bring it out. But it was the oil, the qualities, ladies and gentlemen, are there now in each and every one of you. Every single one of you has those qualities of being great, beyond great. Okay? You got to work on it a little bit, you got to polish it up a little bit. The oil is there. You are that multimillionaire today inside each and every one of you. The qualities are there.